Hello everyone, welcome to episode 8 of the LDG Experience podcast. Today we're going to be discussing some lesser known 40k factions, or
specifically Space Marine chapters.
Space Marine chapters. So we will be discussing the Exorcists, the Crimson Fists, Blood Ravens, and Flesh Tearers today. Before we start, how are you guys? And do you have anything...
I'm grand. How are you?
I'm alright.
You're
vaguely awake.
Vaguely awake? Yeah, that's good. You got subscribers now?
I have, yeah.
Yes.
It's all official. Onyx Dragon Gaming Twitch channel. We've now reached affiliate level, so people can subscribe.
Yes.
With real money or Jeff Bezos dollars if you've got Twitch Prime.
If you have a Twitch Prime, if you have Amazon Prime...
Yes, you get a free Twitch Prime subscription.
Yes.
And if you're not doing anything with it, please... It would be lovely if you could donate those Jeff Bezos dollars to me.
Yep.
Because it's free for you and it makes him pay me money. So.
Yeah, because you're already getting it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like if you've got Amazon Prime, you're already getting it. Yeah. It's not costing you any extra.
Exactly. So that's my cheeky plug for the week.
But go and watch Pete anyway. Onyx Dragon Gaming on Twitch and YouTube and every social media known to mankind.
Yes.
With the possible exception of Kick, because nobody knows what that is.
Don't know what that is.
Don't even know what it is.
What do you have?
So we have.
In terms of Twitch.
I also have something new. So it's LD Gaming Live, and the reason it's weird and put together that way is because Lazy Dragon Gaming had been taken.
That's bastards.
Yes, somebody had taken our handle. Oh. So it's LD Gaming Live, and I'm going to be live streaming Lorcana.
Ooh, exciting.
Yes, the card game. The Disney card game, I love it. I think it's great. It reminds me of old Magic, when Magic was good.
I want a Stitch deck. I want a full Stitch deck.
It's coming. You can have a 99 Puppies deck. There is a card that is an unlimited number.
Oh, wow.
Which is just the puppy from...
I'll be honest, what I'm really waiting for is the I'll Make a Man Out of You as a song, because I know there are songs in the game.
Yeah, there are songs.
When they bring that out, I will definitely go full
Well, currently there's Strength of a Raging Fire.
I know. Yeah, which is from the song, but until there's the actual song.
Yeah, we haven't got that one yet.
No.
But yeah, so I'm live streaming that. That's going to be a little bit irregular until March, and Lazy Dragon Gaming can be found on all social media platforms, as well as lazydragongaming.com, where you can pre-order all sorts of things, including Pokemon and Lorcana. Pretty soon, when I get the live stream going, there will be a discount code for people on the live stream to get cheaper Lorcana through our website, because we have had some changes. We have, unfortunately... As of the 31st of March, we are no longer going to have the store open in Blackpool. This is because our roof is buggered and needs replacing, and we can't be there while they do whatever they're doing to the roof. Due to the bad weather and everything, it's been pretty terrible the last few months. So, yeah. And our lease is then up, and so we're not renewing it. We're going to try and find somewhere new. But this, of course, is taking time. And anybody that knows Blackpool will understand that there are two options in Blackpool. Really expensive, which is beautiful, or really cheap.
Which is very nice.
Which is really not. And at the moment, what we're struggling to do is find anywhere that sort of fits the category of... Because we're looking in this Goldilocks zone, or the Goldalock zone. I don't know if you...
Goldulac.
Goldulac. From
renowned archaeologist.
Yes, if you've read the great works.
Three Ursas.
The three Ursines.
Yes.
Hypothesis.
The three Ursine hypothesis. And we're looking for the Goldulac zone, which is basically a decent gaming space near public transport with parking.
That does not cost $1 million.
That doesn't cost an absolute fortune. So, as you can understand, we are basically waiting for the porridge to be just right before we move into anywhere. So, because we don't want to make the mistake we made the first time round of being in Beirut, the middle of Blackpool. So with that said, yes, you can find us still. We are not shutting down. We are not stopping trading. We are still Lazy Dragon Gaming, and we will be continuing onward. So, yes, do not lose faith in the Emperor of Mankind.
And on that note as well, I have some news as well.
Yes, you do. What are you doing?
I am currently in the process of creating dual-coloured knitting patterns in gaming theme. And I will be streaming knitting them.
Yes.
That is a niche.
Yes. So I think it'll be a bit like watching a fish tank.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard the thing that if you watch a fish tank...
Do you mean boring?
No, if you sit and watch fish... It's supposed to be very relaxing.
Hypnotic and
it sort of relaxes you. Well, I get the same sort of thing while she's knitting, if I'm not careful. I'll just sit and...
It's a bit ASMR, isn't it? The
click-clack.
And then... Listen to my knitting needles.
Listen to the background noise of knitting needles. So I think that might be...
Have you got a rocking chair?
Not
feel
yet.
like you
We're
need a
getting
rocking
one.
chair for this.
We're going to get
Not
one.
yet.
Yeah.
I have actually promised her a rocking chair.
Yeah, that's
which
the
is-
tech you need. For,
Which
for
is
a
sorted her
knitting string.
30th birthday present out.
There we go.
I was going to get her something nice, but now I'm just going to get her a rocking chair. So
Yeah, exactly.
that's sorted that out.
Yeah.
It's not only practicable, but also useful. So
Exactly.
there we go. But yeah, so today we are going to be discussing some of the less discussed chapters of Space Marines.
Yes.
And
With some of the some with a few interesting
little bits.
notable.
Yeah.
So a couple of them are notable, like
Yeah.
the Flesh Tearers and the.
The Flesh Terrors are definitely the most famous
And,
one.
well, no, I'd say the Crimson Fists are because they were the poster boys for the first edition of 40k. So
Yeah, but not everyone listening is as old as you.
that's true.
Like so.
It's very true.
Like, the Flesh Terrors more. There's nothing.
Yeah,
the
I'd say, yeah.
the Crimson Fists haven't done anything for ages.
It's because they were dead.
Yeah, but it doesn't make my
They're
statement.
busy, all right, with Crimson Fist stuff.
Okay, so
Doesn't make my statement any less accurate.
so
Fair
can
enough.
I stop you guys there? Because
No.
I don't understand anything of what you're talking about.
Okay,
So why don't we slow it down, break it down a little bit, so that me and the listeners can follow.
So basically, if you're not new to 40k, if you are new to 40k, Space Marines are broken up into chapters. Originally, they were legions, 100,000 plus strong in most cases. After the Horus Heresy, Rabute Gilliman went, nope, too much power in the hands of too few. We're going to break these legions down, and every one of them will be 1,000 Marines strong.
Never satisfied with the work of others.
No. And then the Astarte, the chapters of Space Marines were born.
Yes.
So no longer the Legio Astartes.
No.
They were now the Adeptus Astartes, and they are the first founding as they broke them up into bits. So
This is the second
founding. First founding being Imperial Fists.
The
big ones.
original progenitor legions.
Yep. Second founding, everybody was broken off from them.
Yes. And there have been subsequent foundings over the years.
Yes.
I think we're up to 23, 24 official foundings.
I think so.
Various individual chapters get made along the way for specific needs.
Yes. Oh shit, we're getting battered, make more Marines.
Yeah, or this weird technological device needs watching, so let's create 3 unique chapters of Space Marines to watch over it.
And those are the chapters we're going to be discussing
Yes.
today. The first one we're going to start with is the one Pete mentioned first, which is the one I know the least about, and that is the Crimson Fists.
Yes. So,
Now, the things I do know about the Crimson Fists, they are an Imperial Fist successor chapter.
yes,
So their Primarch was Rogel Dawn,
indeed.
and when
Their first leader, I believe, is Alexis Pollux.
yes, who was
Who's known as the Crimson
Fist.
Fist during the
and he was the
heresy.
second company captain, because the first company captain was Sigismund.
I think. I don't quite
I think he's the second one. I'll have a quick look. Let's try see if we can find out. But anyway, yeah, the Crimson Fist, and that basically is the end of my knowledge of the Crimson Fist.
Right.
That's where, other than they wear blue armor with a red fist.
So their most famous sort of thing is the fall of their homeworld,
Right.
which was called Rinsworld. They were the poster children for the first edition of Warhammer 40k. So if you've seen the cover of art for Rogue Trader with the last stand of the Crimson Fists all in a big pile around a
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
flag.
Yes. Yeah, I've seen that. Yes.
That is the sort of iconic, their first major iconic thing. And Rinsworld, the fall of Rinsworld was the first battle report was the Battle for the Farm, I think it was called, which was like the first ever 40k battle report because their homeworld gets invaded by orcs.
Yes. The Warg of Snagrod
Yes.
on the sector of Segmentum Tempestus.
Yes. So they the orcs invade their homeworld, and during the initial invasion, a stray missile, I think it is, supposedly ends up going like basically breaching the chapter monastery and detonating in one of their ammunition stores.
Oh.
And like blows it to Kingdom Come.
Oh dear.
There is a really cool novel about this story called Rinsworld, which is one of the Space Marine Battles novels. I can't forget who the author is off the top of my head, but it's very good because it's about them sort of the surviving Crimson Fists kind of being like, oh nuts, we have to regroup and protect ourselves. And one of the cool things in that book is they enact a particular protocol. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. There's like a specific protocol which, because normally Space Marines will sacrifice themselves like to save like civilians and things.
Yes.
Crimson Fists. So they enact this special protocol because there's only so many of them left. They're like, no, you are not to sacrifice yourself for any reason unless it would save a large quantity of other Space Marines.
Right.
Because they're like, we can't afford to lose more Marines, those will never be able to reconstitute the chapter.
Right, okay. That homeworld, the attack, took place in 989 of M41. So actually, fairly recently.
It is, yeah. In galactic terms.
In galactic terms, it's actually quite recent.
Yes.
Because we're in M41, and we're currently in M42.
Yes.
But obviously, millennia, there's a long time between 89.
Yeah, it's the weird thing about
it's
the weird thing about 40k is when you like you get really into it and someone says, "Oh, this thing happened like 200 years ago." That's like people saying that happened like last year.
Yeah.
You get really used to like the passage of time being like this big thing, and like they're going, "Oh, it took them like 12 years to receive this message," and you're like, "Wow, that's pretty quick."
Yeah.
You know, like your brain gets really stretched out with the size. Like they've done a very good job of making the galaxy feel huge.
Yes,
as well.
it is massive.
It doesn't suffer from the just around the corner problem that sort of, especially modern sci-fi movies do.
Yeah.
Like the reimagined, this is my little tangent, but the little reimaginings of the Star Trek movies
really
made the galaxy feel like everything was around the corner.
Yeah, you got there pretty quick.
Yeah, like, we're just going to nip from here to Kronos.
Yeah.
You know, in like half a second.
Yeah.
Like,
No, it took them a while.
Yeah.
Just jump back ever so slightly, you were right, the first chapter master was Alexis Pollux, but he was just a battle brother.
I think that's in the original.
According to the thing I'm reading.
Yeah, but now in the Heresy, Pollux is like a captain.
Oh, is he a captain now? Oh, okay. Well, originally, before we got the Horus Heresy reboots, retcon, not really retcons, but updates.
No, yeah.
Updates. He was just a really good battle brother who had been noted by Rogue Dawn a few times. The other legion the other chapter that was spawned, because they only spawned 2 apparently.
Yeah, the Crimson Fists and the
Black Templars. But we are not going to cover the Black Templars because they're getting one all on their own.
Yes.
Because they are fucking cool.
Yes.
So that's the 2 that came off. So the Imperial, not the Imperial Fists, the Crimson Fists, they are now a fleet-based chapter because they do not have a homeworld.
Nope.
They lost their homeworld, but they have been reinforced recently.
Yes, obviously they were one of the chapters that were like, yay, Primaris!
Primaris Marines, by the Archmagos Dominus Belisarius Call, who arrived with the Zar Quasar, which is his flagship,
Arch
Mechanicus, which is freaking huge. Dwarfs battle barges, Space Marine battle barges, which
and they added on to because they've retconned it to be this is where he did all his work.
Yep, this is the thing.
Yeah, he didn't just do it on Mars, which made no goddamn sense.
No, he did it on the Zar Quasar, well out of the way. And they have been renewed with Primaris Marines.
Indeed.
They, in fact, welcomed them with open arms.
As you can imagine.
There
weren't many of them left.
And they are now fighting back against Warg Snagrod and trying to retake their homeworld. Were there any other notable things that the Fist did? I know that Pedro Cantor is their current chapter master.
Yeah, there's two famous characters for the Crimson Fists.
Yes.
There is Pedro Cantor, who is their current chapter master.
Yep.
Who wields the Arrow of Dawn, I believe it's called, which is a wrist-mounted storm bolter.
Yes.
And he has a power fist. He's their chapter master. The other notable character is Captain Cortez.
Oh, yes, I've heard of him.
Yes, Captain Cortez.
That name rings a bell.
Yes, he had his arm replaced with a power fist.
Oh,
because he got ripped off during. In fact, actually during the novel, it's really funny because he's at one point where they're sort of.
Oh, it's him.
Yeah, where they're mastering a counterattack, and Cortez is like, "I will lead it," and Pedro Cantor's like, "You can't. You're missing an arm." And he's like, "I'm not missing it. It's over there on the floor.
It's on the floor. I've left it behind." Let's have a quick look.
Actually, I tell you what, I remember one thing, which is one of my favourite things about the story of the Fall of Ringsworld, which is a story of a Land Raider, and I can never remember the name of the Land Raider itself, but basically, during the fall of Ringsworld, this Land Raider was sort of blown out of I think it was blown out of one of the sort of parking garages. It had no crew, they were all dead. And it went on like a massive, like the machine spirit of the Land Raider sort of went a bit angry that all its battle brothers had been killed, and went on a massive rampage through the orcs. Right, it like literally just like burned out all the capacitors in its las cannons, went through all of its ammo, and then when it run out of ammo and couldn't do anything else, it stopped in the middle of the orc lines and opened all its doors. So the orcs are all like, "Yay!
Free vehicle!
We'll steal this!" So a bunch of them like obviously run inside, trying to steal things. It seals all the hatches and then overloaded its reactor. I remember that. That was one of those really cool stories. Yeah.
So the For anybody that doesn't know, every machine in 40k has what they call a machine spirit.
Which is not an artificial intelligence.
It's not
No.
AI. It's like the machine's operating system.
Yeah. Some of them are semi-sentient, but
yeah.
they wouldn't be regarded as AI.
No, they can't think for themselves.
Thinking machines are banned.
Yeah.
In
fact, they're not artificial intelligences in the Imperium. They are abominable intelligences.
AI stands for.
Yes. Dawn's Arrow, which
Yep.
is a storm bolter, and he has a power fist known as the Power Glove. Why is it
Power
glove?
glove.
Power. That's not
I
spelled right.
I think it's because back
It's
in
a
the
power
day,
glove.
power gloves were what we used to call power
Fists. Yeah. So yes, and then he has an Iron Halo,
Yep.
which is a thing that gives him a ward
Which has a
save,
conversion field in it, which
Yeah.
gives him his 4-up wall.
and of course Artificer armor because he's a chapter master.
Indeed.
Yes. So that is the Crimson Fists.
Yes.
A cool chapter. I'm a big fan of the Imperial Fists, so I
Yeah.
like.
Quite
I
a cool
really
colour scheme as well. The dark blue
Yes.
with the
a-
aptly named Cantor blue.
Yes.
And the red, they all actually have one red fist.
They do.
If you're a veteran, you have 2 red fists on
Ooh.
your armour. Yeah.
Well, there we go.
So yeah, that's how you can mark out veterancy.
Yeah. So that's the Crimson Fists.
Mm-hmm.
Now I know you're going to like this bit.
Yeah.
Because we're going to move on to a successor chapter of the Blood Angels,
Yes.
and that is the Flesh Tearers.
Oh, I love the flesh.
The Flesh Tearers initial
Chapter Master was
Amit,
known as the Flesh Terror.
known as the Flesh Tearer. Yes.
One of Sanguinius's closest captains. Captain the 5th, I think.
I believe he was. I'm trying to find it.
it.
Here we
yeah.
go. Let me see.
Amit's pretty awesome during the Heresy.
Yes, Amit, who created the Relic, which
Relic,
we'll
yeah,
come
we talked
to
about-
in a bit.
We talked about that briefly on the Dante.
We did.
Sanguinius.
Yeah, that was a
the
big...
relic of Amit is Reliquary of Amit is a stasis tube that contains the last unadulterated feather of Sanguinius.
Yes.
It was the last feather that fell from his wings
there we are.
before he teleported to the Vengeful Spirit, and it's also never touched the floor, so it's never been.
Yeah,
It's perfectly pristine.
yes.
It's about the length of a Space Marine's arm. That's
Yeah,
how big
it's
it
a
is.
big wing feather.
Very pinion. One of the pinions. Yeah.
And I believe that it's said to contain Sanguinius's blood still. Is at the top
might be,
part
yeah.
of it where it came
Yeah.
out, because it's one of the few things that still has his unadulterated blood.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing is the gem on
The blood drop.
the
on
blood
the,
drop,
the
mask, the death
on
mask.
the Death Mask of Sanguinius, the blood
Worn
gem
by
on the
Dante,
front
yeah.
is
And they are the two because the rest of his blood is
it's been cycled through the
through-
Sanguinian priests. Yeah.
So Nasir Amit, the first chapter master of the Flesh Tearers, and the Flesh Tearers are apparently they're down to like 4 companies.
Yeah, so we'll come to the reason why.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. So they're a second founding chapter, so they're
Yeah.
an old chapter. Now, I would say they were respected, but they really aren't.
They are more so now because of Gabriel Seth.
So their current chapter master is Gabriel Seth.
Yes,
Yes.
who is absolutely awesome.
Epic fellow indeed.
He has some really cool stories. He's involved in the devastation of Baal heavily. There's
He's-
also the trial of Gabriel Seth.
Yep.
There's a couple of audiobooks starring the Flesh Tearers.
Yeah, they are a really good chapter to sort of thing. They
Yeah.
So before I get to the reason of the floor, very quickly, for those of you who don't know, the Blood Angels, Sanguinius was their Primarch, and he passed on to them a flaw, and that is the Red Thirst,
Yes.
where they lose control and drink the blood of their enemies.
Yes. And then when he died,
Yep.
the psychic backlash of his death caused another flaw, which is known as the Black Rage,
Yep.
where the person believes they are Sanguinius, keeps having visions of Sanguinius going on to face Horus, and kind of loses all rational thought
Yep.
and can't really be controlled. So they tend to be corralled together and form the Death Company.
Yep.
And they're used for sort of like, what's the word I'm looking for?
Basically, they're the shock and forlorn hope type.
Forlorn hope, that's
Yep.
the word I was looking for. The forlorn hope type thing.
Yeah.
Just send them in as a shock assault.
Yeah.
Would not expect them to come back in any way.
They won't retreat. They don't. They believe they're fighting Horus, and nothing will stop them. It doesn't matter what's in front of them. Hive Tyrant, Orc, Gretchen, Titan. Doesn't make anything. They're not afraid of anything.
Yeah. Hello, Sanguinius. Yes, hello, Sanguinius. Doesn't that land red look particularly Horusy today? Why, I think so. It does, Sanguinius.
Yes. So that flaw, that genetic flaw, and the psychic one was passed on to their progenitor, to their successor chapters.
Yes.
And some of them suffer from it worse than others.
Yes, some of the various successor chapters of the Blood Angels have done various things with it. So there's like the Flesh Eaters and the Blood Drinkers. They've kind of leaned into it a bit. Some, like the Knights of Blood, have gone way over
the top. Yeah.
They just satisfy their needs whenever they feel like it.
Yeah. They believe the what were the Knights of Blood, because they're now no more. But they considered normal humans to be nothing but cattle.
Yeah. They were proper full-on vampires.
They were full-on vampires. Yeah. Whereas the Blood Angels themselves will go out of their way to protect humans.
Yes.
The Knights of Blood were
but
really bad.
The sad thing about the Flesh Tearers is that the Black Rage tends to be more prevalent in them.
Yeah,
so they had very few veterans for a very long time, because pretty much after a certain age it was almost guaranteed that you were going to fall to the Black Rage. And they've kind of, when Gabriel Seth came to power and kind of figured out this wasn't, the numbers were slowly dwindling, he kind of decided that the chapter was going to go out with a bang rather than a whimper. So it's been throwing them into like really hard fights ever since. Because the other thing was, they also tended to have a lot of high level of bloodlust. So people didn't want them in their war zones, because they didn't really understand what collateral damage meant.
Yeah. The Flesh Tearers were known for losing control and eating whatever was next to them.
Yeah, and just going nuts.
Yeah, they weren't particularly choosy about when they got into that bloodlust and that sort of thing. Gabriel Seth started to move them away from
him
other
and
forces.
High Chaplain Carnarvon.
They basically said, look, well, instead of trying to fight alongside others,
let's find places where this will be a help.
Yeah.
And if we all die, because we're all going to slide down into this dark abyss, we might as well do it saving humanity.
Yeah. And our own humanity in the process, because of course everybody looks at the Flesh Tearers as though they're these monsters from nightmares, because they're very often covered in blood. And
because I believe that the trial of Gabriel Seth is where Seth is captured by the Blood Angels and sort of brought to account.
That's right. Yes.
For the Flesh Tearers' actions, and it's there he kind of convinces Dante that actually no, what he's trying to do is noble. That he doesn't want to let them fall into oblivion.
Yeah. He doesn't want to become the Knights of Blood and the Crimson, whatever it was.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
There's a bunch.
There's another one.
He basically doesn't want to. Yeah, he doesn't want to end the line of Hammett in ignominy. He
wants to make them give them a good out, basically, to say.
Yeah. And then I think when the Belisarius Call came around, he was very suspicious.
He was,
because he didn't want the Primaris, because he viewed them as not really Flesh Tearers, because they weren't from Cretacia, which is their homeworld, and also because they hadn't been through the crap that they'd been through. And rather than seeing it's the salvation of his chapter, at first he was very much just like, look, just let us die.
Yeah. Did they ever actually accept the Primaris?
I think they have now. I think these begrudgingly, he's seen how good they are on the battlefield and how well they take to the Flesh Tearers mode of battle.
Yeah, because there's something that came up actually when Primaris Marines were introduced. There's ever so slight tangent, but it is relevant.
Yeah.
They did the new Primaris Marines, and everybody was like, grumble, Primaris Marines. And I was like, oh, makes sense to me. I'm perfectly okay with that. And then when you got Belisarius' backstory and you figured out what had actually happened, you were like, oh,
it took a while to make it work, but when they first did it, they just pulled it out of their ass, and it felt like, what the hell is this?
What the hell is this? But then we got the explanation, and I was happy with it.
One of my favourite, actually, again, on a quick tangent.
Tangents within tangents, good God.
The Dawn of Fire series, which is the sort of Horus Heresy, but for modern 40k.
Right.
This is like them telling the story of the Ultima founding and the Indomitus Crusade.
Right.
Sort of as it's going along. I think it's the third book in the series, is called Wolf Time, and the entire story is about them trying to give the Space Wolves Primaris technology.
Yeah.
And about them really not accepting it, but then how there's one Space Wolf that basically just is sick and tired. He's so excited to go and join the Space Force, right? And then they basically treat him like crap and treat him like cannon fodder, and he just gets pissed off. So he's like, I can do anything you can do, and basically proves his worth to the Space Force chapter, and that's what convinces them.
I see.
Because they're on a bit of a desperate at that point as well. They think it's the Wolf Time. They think there's this massive Space Hulk full of orcs, and they think that if they all attack it and all die on there, that Russ will come back at the very end. So they're like, we don't want help, we don't want saving, we want to go out on a blaze of glory.
Yeah.
And Gilliman's like, no, you twats, fucking take the technology. And then it's a really cool story.
Yeah.
And like I said, the Space Wolf proving himself is really awesome.
Yeah. The thing that I was getting at was when the Blood Angels Primaris came in, it was known that they'd fixed.
Oh, they thought that Belisarius thought he'd fixed the flaws.
The flaws.
And Corbulo, the high sanguinary priest of the Blood Angels watching them, and he spent a lot of time watching them, and then sadly had to come and report that
No.
they
There are...
would not be their salvation.
No, the Blood Angels have spent a long time trying to fix these flaws,
Yes.
particularly the Red Thirst, because there's not a lot they can
Yeah.
do about the Black Rage.
Yes.
But they figure if they can fix the Red Thirst and we can stop drinking the blood and we can pass this on to the likes of the Flesh Tearers, and this is the link in, the Flesh Tearers can then become, in inverted commas, a bit more normal.
Yeah.
And, they won't have the ignominy of just being shunted off into the far corners of the galaxy and let die out.
Nope.
But then Games Workshop released Death Company Primaris Marines,
Yeah.
and everybody was like,
Aw.
but he fixed it. They were like, no, he didn't.
Belisarius Call is not as smart as he thinks.
No.
He is.
Belisarius Call is one of the smartest in the Imperium by a long way.
Yes.
But even he cannot overcome the flaws of the Blood Angels.
Because the thing is, as well, a lot of these things aren't scientific.
No.
The thing that people forget a lot about the Space Marines, especially the Primarchs, is that they aren't just creations of genetic science.
No.
They are fused with warp power.
Yeah.
That's what made them the Primarchs, not just massive genetic supermen.
No, it's not. They're not. It's not the case that they're all just the pinnacle of human evolution. They've been added in with a bargain.
Their souls have literally been forged.
Yeah.
As much as their bodies have.
Yeah, because isn't it believed that the Emperor of Mankind did a bargain with the 4 Chaos Gods
Effectively.
to do that, and he sort of
stole fire.
fire
It's
from
that
the
kind
gods
of
type
stole
thing,
fire,
yeah.
stealing
Yeah.
fire from the gods. He
Yeah.
sort of took the power for himself and
Yeah.
used it to make the Primarchs.
and then went, haha, I'm going to wipe you bastards out now. Yeah, and sort of not betrayed them, but didn't keep up his.
Well, you can't really betray them so much.
So yeah, he sort of played them at their own game type
Yes,
thing,
he did,
and that's why you ended up.
Screw you guys.
But in the process, not all of them were perfect. So obviously, you've got the Space Wolves
Yeah.
flaws, you've got the Blood Angels flaws.
Because of course, all of them, as well, they all represent, all the Primarchs represented an aspect of the Emperor's personality.
Yes.
That comes with both those gifts and flaws.
Yeah.
So that's why, at the end of the day, they might be Supermen, but they are just Supermen.
Yes. They are.
They're still
flaws.
human underneath all of that stuff,
Yeah.
which one of the things I really love.
Yeah. It is the factor that they can make mistakes.
It's the same with the Emperor. Like,
Yes.
a lot of people will say, "Oh, the Emperor's this and the Emperor's that," and I'm like, "Why didn't you do this?" Well, I'm like, because at the end of the day, I think the Emperor is human.
Yes, he is.
And I know they've done recently. They've kind of tried to make it out like the Emperor's just this cold, calculating guy, doesn't give a shit about anything or anyone, and just uses everyone as a tool and everything. But I feel like a lot of his stuff in his stories contradicts that,
Yes.
and that he did especially care about his sons.
Yeah,
He did view the Primarchs as actually his sons.
I think it's more recently when Gulliman came out of the throne room after getting back to Terra, and he said that there isn't much left of the humanity of my father.
Yeah, the words he'd heard were
Yeah.
like he heard like my final son, my greatest achievement.
Yeah.
And then it sort of twisted and he almost saw the words behind it, which was just the last tool, my final thing. And he's like, oh crap, yeah, he's not there anymore.
Yeah, so that implies that prior to being in the Golden Throne, the Emperor had humanity and he did care.
Yeah.
But being stuck in the Golden Throne for 10,000 years has
burnt out
pretty
much all of
humanity.
his soul.
Yeah, because that's the thing. So what kind of god that we would get if the Emperor was in fact a god?
Yes.
But then occasionally you get like hints at that use of thing where he will turn up to help people.
Exactly.
And it's still there.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't happen as much as it did, I think. I think that's the kind of like, you're getting to the end of the Emperor's
definitely,
like
very much
humanity
so.
and his love of humanity, which he was trying to protect.
And it's almost like it's getting to the point where they kind of need to just like
switch it off.
Yeah. Let him go
And hopefully get a god that is a reasonable one, or the Emperor back as he reincarnates. But that's a story for another day, and we've tangented off the Flesh Tearers.
Indeed, yes.
But yes, so the Flesh Tearers got their Primaris reinforcements, but the flaws have not been fixed.
No.
You've still got the big deal of the Red Thirst, which they suffer from pretty badly, and their fall to the Black Rage.
They have a lot more for them.
But if you do get chance to go and read any of the novels containing the Flesh Tearers,
do it.
Gabriel
really
Seth
cool.
is an awesome character.
Yeah.
Well, quick thing on Gabriel Seth: what is the name of his two-handed chainsword? Do we know? Can we remember?
Yes.
What is it called?
I want to say Deliverance, but it's not.
No, it's not that one. And I'm going to try and... What's it called?
Like
I can't remember. Evie's going to look it up for us.
Oh, dear.
I know that their battle barge is called the Victus, or it was.
Yeah.
Their former battle barge. Let me see if I do this.
Yeah.
If I do.
Blood Reaver?
Blood Reaver.
There we
Yes.
go. We knew we'd get there in the end.
Yeah, well done, baby. Nice one. Yes. So that is the Flesh Tearers. Now, like I said, the minor chapters, so a lot of the stories, they're not very long. They're small sections within other books. So that's why we're doing a few of them, because there isn't always a great deal to tell. But that is the Flesh Tearers. And now we're going to go on to
some lesser known.
Lesser known one. Lesser known.
Well, kind of lesser known.
The next one is the Blood Ravens.
So these were initially created for the Dawn of War computer game. Yes.
They were not, actually didn't exist.
No.
And now they really do exist because they've been around a long time.
They have, now it scares me that I look back and go, they're new, and I'm like,
no, they're not.
That's like 20 years ago. Yeah.
So to give us a thing, which founding they were in, nobody knows.
Yes.
Believed to be early though, according to my little thing here. So they've been around longer than the game. Yep. But they were just not mentioned until the game.
They were just off screen.
Just off screen. Successors of, so who was their progenitor?
Well, this is also one of the big
nobody knows
things about them. Yes, there's hints.
Yes, many hints.
There's many hints of who it might be.
Successor chapters, nobody knows. How many of them are there? Nobody knows. Who was their progenitor Primarch? Nobody knows. However, something we do know is that their current chapter master, or at least at time of writing of this particular bit of information, Gabriel Angelos.
The star of Dawn of War 1 and 2.
Indeed he was. He was the character that you played, I believe, wasn't he?
And 3. No, he was in 1 and 3.
1 and 3, I think.
I think, in 1 he's the captain you play.
Yep.
He ends up with the demon hammer from the Inquisitor.
He does.
And then in 3 he is the current chapter. In 2 and 3 he's the chapter master.
Yes.
Of the Blood Ravens at that point.
So if anybody has played Dawn of War, a fantastic game for its age, honestly.
Yeah. It was back in the golden age of RTS games.
It was very Command and Conquer-esque.
Well, it was very different to Command and Conquer because the whole thing was, instead of because Command and Conquer and StarCraft, things of those were you'd mine resources and then go out and build things and conquer things, whereas Dawn of War, we tried to sort of flip that a bit on its head, and you had to capture resource points.
Yes.
So you had to go out and capture the map to be able to make more things.
Yeah, drop things on the resource points. And then
you build like a thing, you'd have to capture it first, and then, you had to capture territory. You couldn't just sit back in your base
mining.
No,
you have to go out and do stuff.
No.
So in the first Dawn of War, there is Gabriel Angelos, who is the chapter captain, and he is following along a librarian.
He is, yes.
And the story of Dawn of War is the story of the first part of the Blood Ravens, which is that the librarian, goes a bit fruity.
He goes a bit wibbly,
falls to chaos.
He does.
And Gabriel Angelos gives him a good kicking.
Yes, with his demon hammer, what he found.
Yeah, what he found lying around.
No, there's an Inquisitor that pops up in the story, and I think he ends up getting killed, and he gives the hammer to Gabriel Angelos.
He's like, here, go and do this thing.
Go smite that bastard.
Yes.
And he doth smoteth the bastard.
Yes. Even after he turns into a demon prince.
Yes.
He gives him a good smacking with the hammer.
Rollicking, yeah.
Their home planet is called Aurelia, which is nice, very pretty. But their records of the Blood Ravens has been completely expunged. Yes. So there are no old records of the Blood Ravens.
And the reason for that is because of the rumours of who their progenitor
is. Yes. Yeah. So there's a bunch of options that people have given for the origins of the Blood Ravens. Obviously, Blood Angels, because of the name and the blood drop on their thing.
Yeah.
However, we've seen quite a bit of the Blood Ravens in the games.
Black Rage, no
Red Thirst, no Black Rage. And to me, that completely discounts them being any successor of Sanguinius.
No pointy teeth, nothing.
None of that. They've got none of the blood drinking and all that. And not a single other successor chapter of the Blood Angels does not suffer from one or both of those things. In most cases, both, but nobody does. Dark Angels is another one that's been put forward. The Dark Angels were put forward because their gene seed is one of the most.
It's the most stable.
It's the most stable.
Yes, but it's also one of the least used.
Yeah, so it could be the Dark Angels.
Yes.
Could they be? No, they could not be. I do not believe they are.
No, because they would be more directly controlled by, well, not controlled. They'd be more directly influenced.
Yes, by
the Dark Angels.
Angels themselves, because the Dark Angels know who all their successors are and send them after the Fallen at all costs.
Yes, there's a reason why every chapter master, every Dark Angel successor is a Grand Master, and the chapter master of the Dark Angels is a Supreme Grand Master,
because they all go and report to Azrael to make sure that they know where the Fallen are.
Yep.
Now, the Blood Ravens, as far as we know, have a chapter master. So that rules that out.
Yep.
And as far as we know, don't go rushing off at the drop of a hat to find any instance of the Fallen anywhere.
No.
So, no, that rules them out. The next one, obviously, is the next most stable, which is the Ultramarines, because
Yeah, just 'cause they have millions
because
of
they have
money.
loads.
So yeah, that's always a good, strong possibility.
Strong
just
possibility,
because.
just because there's loads and loads of Ultramarine successor chapters,
Yeah.
and it could be the Ultramarines, and I have no reason to give an objection to it being the Ultramarines.
No.
Because the Ultramarines are, there's nothing special about them, like the
No.
Dark Angels or the Blood
They are
Angels.
vanilla.
They are pretty vanilla, even though they're blue. This brings me to the one
Yes.
that I'm pretty certain is going to get anybody that understands raising an eyebrow.
Yeah.
Because the other one is the Thousand Sons.
Yes, and that's the one that's had lots of hints dropped for.
Yes, and-
Specifically because the Raven with the blood drop on is the personal heraldry of a very particular Thousand Son, if I remember rightly.
It's their iconography is very similar to the Corvidae cult.
Well, yeah, the Raven itself is the
Yes.
Corvidae icon.
Yes.
But there is actually specifically a Thousand Son
Right,
who has the
blood drop.
blood drop on the Raven.
Right, do you want to look that up?
I can't remember. It might be
I-
Thava, the guy
Possibly.
that ends up going down. Or it might have been that he was meant to be, like a lot of things with the Horus Heresy, it might have been that they dropped that hint, meaning that it was supposed to be, and then because he ends up with a whole different destiny.
Yeah, maybe.
So,
So the Thousand Sons, for anybody that doesn't know, are not a loyalist chapter. They are a traitor
there have been
chapter.
rumours of one of the Dark Founding, I think it's called the Dark Founding, or the Curse Founding,
Curse Founding,
was
yeah.
done using traitor gene seed. Because
Yeah.
in theory, there's nothing wrong with the gene seed.
No.
It's just the fact that Legion went batshit insane.
Yeah, it is possible, and they have a lot of librarians in the Blood Ravens.
Yes,
A
that is the
lot.
other thing, and they go after a lot of old artifacts, and
Artifacts
knowledge,
and-
secret seekers
yeah.
of knowledge and things.
So the Blood Ravens go around in the 41st millennium, nabbing anything that looks like a shiny magic item
Yes.
and bunging it somewhere out of the way.
Yeah.
And unlike other, relictors, I believe?
Yeah.
Unlike the relictors, who we're not going to cover today because it's a bit thing, but what the relictors do is they grab chaos items and use them against
Yeah, because their whole thing is using the
weapons
fire to
of the
fight
enemy.
fire
Yeah.
type thing, yeah.
Whereas the Blood Ravens just grab it and bugger off with it.
Yeah, lock it away.
Lock it away.
Yes.
And it's possible that this is sort of a thing from their origin of the Thousand Sons and the knowledge that they collected. So, of all of the potential things, do you think
My
it's
money is on
possible
the Thousand
the
Sons.
Thousand Sons?
I think, again, like a lot of things with 40k, it's designed to be ambiguous.
Yes.
And I think they've dropped enough hints over the years
Yes.
that I think we're supposed to be led
That's
down
where
that.
we're going.
Yeah.
They have all of their back history has been completely expunged by the Inquisition.
Yeah.
Now, if they'd done anything wrong, the Inquisition would just wipe them out.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be like, "Oh no, we'll forgive you, and we'll
Yeah.
we'll just remove it from history."
Yeah.
That's not what they do.
Yeah, they're not particularly forgiving
No,
organisation.
the Inquisition are not a forgiving organisation.
No.
They don't let you off with a slap on the wrist. See anything involving the Space Wolves and the Grey Knights and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
That went on for like 100 years and more,
Yeah,
where they
yeah.
were like nearly killing one another.
Yep.
And what they did to the Celestial Lions on Armageddon, where they basically stopped them communicating with each other, sent them into a thing, and got them all wiped out, bar a couple.
Yep.
Like the Inquisition don't
mess
forgive.
around.
They don't fuck around. They don't go, "Oh no, don't worry, we'll delete that." Nobody will know that happened unless something about what they did in the first place.
Unless it's them that did it.
Yeah, let's we might be able to get away with using this traitor gene seed.
Yeah, it'd be
It'll
fine.
be fine. It'll be okay. Let's just
Especially if we delete all knowledge of it, then it'd be fine. No
Let's
one will
just
know.
take away anybody's knowledge of what's going on.
Exactly.
If the Inquisition is listening, by the way, we think you're wonderful, and we all, of course, agree with the God Emperor and everything he says and does.
Yes.
If they're not listening, go fuck yourselves.
Yes.
So that's the Blood Ravens, and I think the most interesting thing I find about the Blood Ravens is that they could well be
Yes.
the Thousands.
Yes, I think that, again, that is their coolest sort of thing.
Yeah, it is awesome. There's not many things involving them in the books and stuff, because most of their things happen in the Dawn of War games.
Yes, and the books that did get written about them were awful.
Yeah, they weren't
Because
very
they're written by the single worst author in Black Library history, C.S. Goto.
I don't believe I know that
Be
guy.
thankful.
Yeah.
Be thankful. They are... It's not that they're just bad 40k novels, they're bad books in
Right.
general.
Okay.
Yeah, don't go look them up.
Yeah, don't look them up.
Don't look
Play
them
the
up.
games.
The links will not be in the description below.
Go and play Dawn of War.
Dawn of War.
It's
or find somebody will have made a YouTube video with the.
Oh, I think they have. I think there's the entire story.
This is a great thing. I find it really good. Yeah, you go on YouTube and find the stories of games,
Yes.
especially games that you may not have played when they were out.
But yeah, you can find it on YouTube. The cutscenes of Dawn of War, and that will tell you all about the Blood Ravens. But if you do want to go and play the game, both me and Pete highly recommend it.
Oh,
They're good games.
Yes.
Good games. 2 not amazing. 3 is good. But yeah, and that brings us on then to
the one you really want to talk
the
about.
one I want to talk about, and I have a confession to make because I listen to a YouTube channel.
Oh dear.
A thing called Tactica Imperialis.
Oh yes.
And I have found him to be very knowledgeable.
Yes, he's very good.
He's very good. I find his voice to be very soothing, and I put that video on to fall asleep to because I find he's very good. He makes a very good video. So if you're interested in 40k lore, go and subscribe to him.
One episode he does that wakes me up every time, and it's the episode on the Alpha Legion.
Oh yes.
Every time he says this story is a lie, the way he says it just all the adrenaline in my body just spikes.
But Alpha Legion we will be covering at some point because I love the Alpha Legion. But
overrated.
But yes,
really, I thought you'd quite like the Alpha Legion. No. Oh,
I'm more of a Raven Guard guy. When it comes to
sneaky tactics. Okay.
I think the Alpha Legion is one of those like overrated things, and I also find that a lot of, not all, but a lot of Alpha Legion fans are a bit like up themselves.
Yeah, well,
they think they're a bit smarter than they actually are.
Yeah, death to the false emperor.
Yeah. Like I said, there's some really cool stuff in the Alpha Legion, so don't get me wrong, I don't think they're shite, I just think that, sometimes they're one of those factions that I think people get, they think are a little bit bigger than their boots.
Oh, they've got the Deadpool problem.
Yeah. Very much so. In fact, you tend to find a lot of people that like Deadpool also.
I find that anybody that thinks that Deadpool is the greatest thing that ever happened to anything ever tend to be overbearing and annoying, whereas Deadpool himself is pretty cool. Yeah. So I don't so much dislike Deadpool as the aggravating fandom of the thing. Yeah, and I think that's what... So yeah, okay, so we come to the last one we're going to discuss today, and it is the one that has caused a little bit of contention between myself and Pete. And as I was saying, the contention comes from Tactica Imperialis that I listen to.
Yes.
Because at the start of his video on the Exorcists, he says that they are a successor chapter of the Grey Knights. And you said... No.
I cannot find this, or even any hints.
No.
And it would also make no sense either.
So I have, in the past week, after we discussed this the last time, been looking to find where he could possibly have got that from.
Yes.
And I can't find it.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, Tactica Imperialis, but I'm going to call bullshit on your Grey Knights. And I take it back, Pete. You were correct.
Thank you.
Now, according to the things that I found... they were created in the 13th founding, which is considered to be the Dark Founding.
The Dark Founding.
Yes.
So, are we actually calling out and asking for his sources?
Yes, I want to know his sources.
Citation needed.
Citation needed.
Yeah. So if Tactica Imperialis...
I mean, I'm more than happy to be proven wrong, but as far as I'm
well.
concerned, I cannot find that anywhere.
No, I can't either.
Even a hint to it.
No, neither can I.
Logically, it makes no sense to me because the entirety of the Grey Knights Legion is psychically attuned.
Yes.
And there's something different about their gene seed. So having a successor chapter would be a bit weird, personally.
Yeah, also the Grey Knights...
by the express will of the Emperor.
Yeah, the Grey Knights are supposed to be
not
like...
so much.
Yeah, the Grey Knights are also supposed to be secret. Even though now they're not as secret as they were.
I mean, they're not a secret to the Ordo Malleus. And the thing about the Exorcists is they were created by the Inquisition.
Yes.
Specifically by the Ordo Malleus.
Yes.
Ordo
Malleus. So, according to what I have been able to find out, they are a successor of the Imperial Fists.
Ah.
Now, and so their Primarch being Rogel Dawn.
Yes.
Their homeworld is called Banish.
Yep.
Which is a cool fucking name for a homeworld.
Mm-hmm.
Their colour scheme's obviously red, black and white, with a horned, demon-y skull thing.
The interesting thing is their chapter symbol is almost the exact same symbol as that of the Librarius.
Yes.
So all librarians have a horned skull is the symbol of the Librarius.
Yeah.
Although the skull for the Exorcist has a bit pointy teethy.
Yeah. And their current chapter master is Amir Vasafon.
Yeah.
According to my thing. Mm-hmm. And the thing about the Exorcists is that they are... the reason they're so special and the reason they are a little bit on the secret side is during Apotheosis, which is the term for being made into a Space Marine,
Yes.
they have a demon rammed into them. A very minor demon. And they are turned into a demon host.
Yes. And part of their sort of training and apotheosis is for them to banish the demon from themselves.
Yes.
Yes.
And in that banishment, when they've taken out the demon from themselves, or it's been removed in whatever weird way.
This used to be a really long old part of GW lore.
Right.
Actually, that someone who had been possessed by a demon and had then subsequently managed to purge the demon through whatever means used to be known as the Illuminati.
Ah.
Yes.
I believe they've stopped referring to them as that now.
Yeah, well, they're one of those really ancient parts of GW lore, like the Star Child and the Sensei, that have kind of quietly disappeared throughout the years.
They've been forgotten about because, probably rightly so.
Yeah. But I just thought, it
was really cool.
Tidbit.
Tidbit.
Yeah.
So once they've had the demon removed, or they remove it, whichever way it is, they basically then become pretty much immune to demon.
Yes.
And the warp and sorcery of all kinds. And this is where the Exorcist's speciality comes in for the Ordo Malleus, who are the Inquisition, the arm of the Inquisition that specifically deals with incursions from the warp.
Yes.
And they are sent to deal with demons because demons, especially the small ones, really can't do anything to them.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously they can still stab them, but like their demon fire and all the sort of mind trickery and all that sort of stuff just doesn't work on them anymore.
No. Or at least it's massive. Well, I think the thing is that it's massively reduced. I don't think it's completely immune.
Yeah, they're not
as good as the Grey Knights, for example. They're completely immune.
Yeah. It takes the bigger demons to have any kind of effect on them. So you need a greater demon. Still poses a threat. It's a greater demon.
But even then.
But the lesser one's much easier for them to deal with than the average Space Marine and all the rest of it. So all of their records are basically sealed because they work specifically for the Inquisition. And I was wondering, Pete, if you knew anything other than that about the Exorcist, because the Inquisition, being the Inquisition, they keep a lot of their stuff very close to their chests.
Yes, there's not a lot about them.
No.
I believe one of their librarians ends up attached to the Death Watch.
Right.
I think there's a bit more about them. I think it's the Exorcist. I could be wrong. In the Death Watch novels, he's like the leader of Kill Team Talent. And I think you get a little bit more about like some of the stuff that the Exorcists do, kind of. We get a little bit of
tidbits.
I think like their chapter master is like technically, it's either their chapter master or like their chief librarian is like sealed on like a bit like a sort of fake golden throne thing.
Right.
I think you might be keeping the lid on something.
Oh, okay.
I think that's them.
Right.
I'm not 100%, sure.
Right.
Like I said, there's little fragments.
It wouldn't surprise me that they use the
Exorcist one of those things
in that way.
Yeah, the Exorcist, they've had like.
There's not been a lot put out about them, has there?
There's lots of they're one of those chapters. So they're featured heavily in the Badab War.
Yes.
Which is their big
There was quite a few of the lesser
chapters.
A lot of the dark founding chapters were involved in that. For instance, the Minotaurs.
Oh, the Minotaurs are a great chapter. I want to go on a little tangent about the Minotaurs. So the Minotaurs are both awesome and complete a-holes.
Love it.
So the Minotaurs were created under the express rule of the High Lords of Terror.
Yes.
And unlike every other Space Marine chapter, they answer to the High Lords of Terror. They are the High Lords of Terror's fist against other Space Marine chapters.
Okay.
So if other Space Marine chapters are like, fuck off, we won't do what you tell me.
Yep.
The Minotaurs get sent. Now their aesthetic, their thing is they're like a very brass, bronzy looking armour. They have the lambda is one of their symbols. They're basically Spartans.
Okay.
Like their aesthetic is full on Spartan.
Yep.
Their chapter master Asterion Moloch is a complete bellend. They feature in the Region of Terror novels.
Right.
Along with the Imperial Fists, because obviously there's stuff going down on Terra.
Yes.
And the renegade High Lords call on the Minotaurs to help them.
Right.
And they do. And then the Imperial Fists are like, no,
what
the Primarch is now in charge.
Yeah.
So fuck off. And they are very single-minded, very not swayed from anything once they've been given a task.
Right.
But they are proper nails. Like, that's why they get sent into Badab as well. They're
Yes.
they're like, oh no,
We've had enough of this.
Yeah, we're going to kick the teeth in.
We will cover in more detail the Badab war, because it involves quite a lot of
It's
chapters.
It's one of the big, it's one of the big conflicts
Yes.
in 40k history.
To cover...
going all the way back to Rogue Trader. This is one of the,
it goes on for a while. So you got the Minotaurs, you got the Exorcists, the Mantis, is it?
Mantis Warriors. Star Phantoms. Executioners, which is interesting because the Executioners might be an Imperial Fist successor now as well.
Yeah, I think they might be.
Fafnir Ran.
What a great name.
I know, right?
Well, Fafnir Ran was definitely an Imperial Fist.
Yes, but I'm pretty certain it's very hinted because, again, his heraldry is the twin axes.
Okay.
Which is the symbol for the Executioners.
I see, yes.
Mantis Warriors, Lamenters are involved.
The Lamenters, yes, because they're
Blood
Angel successors, and they're the ones that are fierce unlucky.
Yeah, they think they cured the flaw, but they're also known to be really unlucky.
Yeah, Lamenters have got this because they're mentioned in the devastation of Baal.
Yes,
and I think Dante basically just says that they're busy dealing with their own problems, and you kind of get the kind of impression that he's a bit grateful that they're not coming. They're over there. We didn't really press the matter too much because wherever the Lamenters go, bad shit happens to them and everybody around them, and it's a very sad story when you think the Lamenters are. No, not good. Who else was there?
The Salamanders are there.
The Salamanders are there, yeah.
Obviously, the big one is the Astral Claws.
Astral Claws.
They are the bad guys.
The bad guys.
Well, they are the chief bad guys. Because the whole point is Luft Huron, who is the chapter master of the Astral Claws, kind of goes a bit off the deep end and starts a sort of minor civil war with the wardens of the Badab sector.
Yes.
It ends up being sort of a large fight between those two sides.
And
some of the chapters that are with him, they're not necessarily evil.
No,
they're just it's basically a misunderstanding that gets out of hand.
Yeah.
The Red Scorpions are also involved.
That's
they're a big one.
But some of them change sides.
Some of them don't want to, because I know the Executioners are technically on the Astral Claws side.
Yes.
And I believe their chapter master at the beginning of the campaign, because the ogres get called on.
Yeah.
For them to support the Astral Claws, and their chapter master is executed by their high chaplain before the campaign starts as a kind of proactive repentance.
Right.
Because he's like, I'm ordering this, and then you kill me.
Yeah.
To make up for it.
Yep. The Firehawks are there as well.
Firehawks.
I've just spotted that.
Yeah, the Marines Errant.
Yeah. Now the Firehawks are an interesting one because
they may or may not be the Bane Legion of the Damned.
Legion of the Damned. So that was an interesting one we can cover at a later date as well.
Fire Angels, the Raptors.
The Raptors are another one.
Chapter, Lamenters. We're just flicking through.
Yeah, flicking through Badab.
Marines.
They're an Imperial.
Yes, Howling Griffins. God, blimey.
Most
people who hate themselves and want to paint quartered red and yellow.
Yeah.
Although I love how in this book they're like, and you could do the Night World scheme, which is basically black with the red and yellow shoulder lines.
The Nova Marines are an Ultramarine successor.
They are, as are Marines Errant.
Marines Errant, and the Fire Griffins, I think, are an Imperial Fist successor.
Possibly.
I think so. Yeah, so that the Badab War, which we're going to cover later.
Because it's an interesting story.
Because it's really interesting and really cool sort of story that can go on for quite some time.
Yes. And introduces one of the coolest bad guy characters from the Chaos Space Marine side, Luft Huron, who just becomes Huron Blackheart of the Red Corsairs.
Who captures Gulliman.
Does he?
Yes, during his trek back to... What's it? And I believe he has an inanimate Blackstone fortress, which he's using as a base. But he can't operate it.
Thank God.
Yeah. So that is basically a tangent aside.
Yep.
The Exorcist really, again, sealed up by the Inquisition.
A lot of these sort of successive chapters, they have a little bit written about them, and they're more kind of out. I think they're done like that so that you can take them and run with them.
Yeah. You can add your own bits.
So you can be like, oh, I like this theme or idea. And I'll take it and run with it.
Yeah, so there are many others, like we just went through, the big list of ones that people may or may not have heard of, that are all really cool, like successor chapters, and they're all there with like a nugget of information about them, like the Badab War, for example.
Well, one I like is the Consecrators.
Yes.
Who are a Dark Angel successor chapter, who are relatively new, but they've been given a lot of old Dark Angel stuff.
Right.
So, like, they tend to wear a lot of older suits of power armor and have a lot of relics and stuff like that, because they were sort of kitted out specially by the Dark Angels. There was the disciples of Caliban, who were created under the express request of a previous Supreme Grand Master of the Dark Angel, and then quietly tasked with specifically hunting Cypher.
Right.
So their whole deal is they hunt Cypher.
Find that wily bastard.
Find that guy.
Yeah. Find this one dude in the entire galaxy. The one guy known for being able to disappear.
A slippery little fuck, yeah.
An entire Space Marine chapter dedicated to finding.
Yeah, this is why they don't
dude.
tend to let the Dark Angels have.
No. It's pretty much why you know when something is a Dark Angel successor chapter. Because if they aren't at the drop of a hat fucking off to find the Fallen or reporting back to Azrael.
Because I think even if Dark Angels found out that they were if they discovered that any other chapter was, they would quietly just induct them into the mysteries anyway.
I don't know how quiet it would be, but they
would possibly induct them. Yeah.
As the entire chapter and a bunch of successors turned
up. Can I
up.
please talk to you about our Lord and Saviour Lionel Johnson?
Yeah, especially with him coming back. That would be a thing. But so unlike the Ultramarines where, you could have an Ultramarine successor chapter.
God, the Ultramarines just churn those things out.
And you just never know that they are. They could be, they might not. Imperial Fists are not much different, although they are
relatively. There's more now. Ever since the Ultima founding, which is the Primaris founding.
Yeah, there are more of them.
There are a lot more of the various bloodlines. Even Space Wolves now have some, because their whole thing was that the Canis Helix didn't work anywhere except Fenris.
Yes.
So this is they haven't explained how they've solved that.
Well, I think the thing is they don't have that flaw now. There are no Primaris Wolfen that I've seen.
Well, we don't know.
Well, yeah,
because they've been done dirty the worst by the whole. I'm really hoping in this edition we get the Space Wolves get their love they deserve again. Yeah. Because they got real badly homogenized. Dark Angels and Blood Angels and things like that. When they sort of homogenised all the Space Marine chapters, it didn't really lose a lot as such.
No.
They still had their identity. Yeah. The Space Wolves, because they were so divergent, and their organisation and the way the pack structures worked, all that sort of thing, they got really done dirty when the Primaris came out.
They're not really the Space Wolves of old anymore.
No, they're just Ultramarines in pale blue.
Pale blue, yeah. They're just Vikings.
Yeah, it's kind of sad because that's why I'm really hoping that they do them some justice.
Yeah, we get some new updates to the Space Wolves and get some good story.
Yeah,
for them.
That's my last tangent.
That's why these chapters though that I find them so interesting is because if you want to tell your own story,
but you like me, if you're like me, you don't really know where to start with a chapter or something. Then there are so many of them sort of enumerated because even coming up with a colour scheme and a symbol is difficult sometimes. So the great thing about the successor chapters is you can look at lists and there's huge sheets of they used to be posters with all the different chapters that have been named, and it's great that you can find one that kind of fits an aesthetic you like an idea of, and you can kind of run with it. Yeah, and do your own cool thing with it.
Now I have something actually. This is a little bit of a tangent, but it's it's linked in the vaguest sort of way. A friend of ours, Jed, if Jed is listening, hello Jed, lovely guy called Jed Crossley. He was painting, I believe, I can't remember the exact army, but he wanted to use the colour scheme from the Heresy, the pre-split, before the second founding, for his current 40k Space Marines.
Yes.
And he was told online by people that he could not do this. And this was an abomination and not something he could do. Now, I said, as much as it isn't restrictive to the canon, if you want to paint them that way...
At the end of the day, it is your hobby.
Yes.
Whatever direction you want to take it in is your hobby. I am personally one of those very anal rivet cantery type peoples.
Yes.
I want to make sure all my markings are correct, all my colour schemes are correct, all that sort of thing. So I am one of the people that won't do that. And
but you won't do that, though.
No, I won't do it personally.
But would you ever prevent anybody else from doing that?
No.
Because it is not your army, is it, at the end of the day?
No. If that makes you happy,
if you want to paint them in the old colour scheme...
I've seen Hello Kitty Marines.
Yes, exactly.
At the end of the day...
I don't like them.
I don't like them. I've seen, My Little Pony Marines. Yeah. At the end of the day, that's not my cup of tea either. No. But if it makes you happy, then I don't care.
No.
If you come to me and say, is this correct for the period? I'm going to say,
no.
But that's the thing. It's if that's not what you're going for, it does not matter.
No. If you want to paint your army and in a colour scheme... Yeah. And you can't find a chapter that matches your colour scheme, make your own chapter.
That's also true.
Because you can do that.
But even if you want to paint Ultramarines in red, if you really want to do that, then
do that.
Do it.
That's fine.
It's your hobby.
At the end of the day...
And don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
No, never let anybody take your happiness away.
I tell you what, people like that, right? The one thing that people like that, when they come and say, oh, you can't do this or you can't do that, the one thing it tells me is I never want to play you.
No, I agree.
Because that's the other part of like these things. When people are always... I see a lot of people who are like really gamey with things.
Yes.
Who are like, oh, you can't have that because that's like 2mm out and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Or that dice is not in 100% flat and all that.
Yeah.
All it says to me is, I don't want to play you.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you have that right to say, even if you're in a tournament, you could be at a massive tournament, and if the guy opposite you is being completely not a knob, you have the utter right to just say, thanks, but no thanks. You can take the win. If it means that much to you, jog on.
Yep. No, I agree.
And that is something that is a viewpoint I've come to relatively recently in the last few years is, anybody who wants to exclude... I think we've all seen the awesome thing that the Games Workshop put out, the Warhammer is for everyone.
Warhammer is for everyone.
Which was also read really well. Like one of the Black Library authors, Black Library narrators, did a really good rendition of it.
Yeah, he did.
Reading it out. But Warhammer is for everyone.
Yeah.
And I think the greatest thing about this hobby is its community.
Yeah.
And you should always be inclusive.
I think that it's important to remember that because you and I disagree on many things, but we are still very good friends.
Exactly.
And you can disagree and have differing opinions.
I think there's something like...
about 40k.
Without actually going like, properly on the soapbox here, I think this is not just 40k, I think in a lot of things these days, is people seem to think that just because I disagree with you means that I must hate you and you are the scum of the earth. It's like, no. You can hold a different opinion about that, but the one opinion we share is that we both love this hobby.
Yeah.
So, let's share that love rather than go, I love
that. We can't have that man in our hobby because he wants to paint his Space Marines pink.
Yeah.
I don't agree with him painting his Space Marines pink, but if it makes him happy, or her, or they, or whatever, I'm not bothered. Yeah. If they are happy with their army,
and they're not a knob,
and they're not, I don't care.
Like if you paint your army pink and you're a bellend, then no, you're gonna have an issue. But it's not because they're pink; it's because you're a bellend.
I don't dislike you because of the colour of your Space Marines. No. I dislike you because you're a bellend. Yeah. But. Why are we're already a marginalised section of the community, of everybody's community. We
Pretty
are
much.
Looked and for years looked down upon.
It's why I never understand gatekeepers. For
we don't want you in our
especially when more and more women and girls and people of other backgrounds are coming into this hobby.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, you're not a real hobbyist or whatever. It's like, you weren't when you first got in either. By this standard.
What do you mean I don't know the exact date of the death of the Emperor? You don't either.
No, shut up.
It took you 25 years to remember that ex-Marines are dedicated from one thing to another, or that this god does this. You can't expect the person who just walked into their local Warhammer shop to come out with an encyclopedic knowledge of the Horus Heresy.
Or even if they've been in the hobby for 15 years, maybe they just enjoy the game. Maybe they don't care about
it. No, there's a lot of people. So you've got...
there are painters, there are hobbyists, there are gamers.
Yeah.
And people, all three of them, people from majority of one or the other of those aspects, doesn't make them any less of a hobbyist.
No, not at all. I know a lot of people who just paint.
Yeah.
Don't play or care.
A lot of people who just read the novels.
Read the novels. They love the novels.
People who just game. All they care about is going to tournaments and winning and whatever.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who do that.
As far as they're concerned, these figures are just tokens.
Yeah. They're just things to move
None
around.
of those people are any less hobbyists.
No, they're all wonderful people for the most part. There are one or two bellends. We've all met them.
Of course there is. Yeah.
I love Ben, but I hope he hears that.
Right.
Yes, but with that. And the soapbox at the end of the show.
Warhammer is for everyone.
And we want everyone to play or be involved in any way that they... But with that, thank you for listening, dear listener. Next week, it's finally time for the promised Dark Angels update.
Yes,
because...
It's finally here.
Yes, we've arrived.
It'll be out by the time this video has been recorded, so I will have been able to pour over it and cry myself to sleep or run around cheering with what they've done with the new lore.
Yep.
And I will share my thoughts with Tom.
Yep, who does not know, because I have not read it. So I will be learning along with you, dear listener, of all the things that have happened in the 42nd millennium to Lionel Johnson and his beloved Dark Angels.
And what I feel about this.
And what Pete
This could be a strong opinions episode.
And if that is a very quick bit, we'll add in some other...
Yeah, we'll find some... No doubt we'll find some tangents.
We'll tangent. Yes. I do have an apology to make from earlier in this episode. I did refer to Tactica Imperialis, but apparently... as I'm a little bit behind with their videos, so I dead named them. I do apologise for that. I did not know that they are now Neve of Tactica Imperialis. So if you do hear this, Neve, I do apologise. I did not know. We are on your backlog of videos, so I was not up to date with that knowledge. But now I am. I will know. So yes, Neve of Tactica Imperialis. So go and check out their YouTubes and give them a subscription. It's free to do so, and their videos are amazing. So yes, apologies for that, and thank you very much for listening. We will see you all next week with the Dark Angel update.
Indeed.
Dun dun dun.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.